Hello everybody, Fu Shang Wu Liang Tian Zun. I'm very happy that you are with us today for the next class of the Daoist Discover Daoism Online. Can everybody hear me? Everything all right? The connection is good. Welcome everybody, all new people. My name is Liu. I'm from the Wudang Temple in Germany, the chairman of the German Daoist Education, and I welcome all the Daoist interest people joining our free classes here on Zoom, and also I invite you to watch the replay we're gonna publish in the coming days. Okay, today's topic, we wanna start quick, like I already mentioned in the last class, and we have only limited time, so just going to introduce the class. Today's class is about the Daoist altar and what a Daoist altar look like, a few differences of Daoist altars, and also what kind of things we should avoid putting on altar, and maybe we have enough time to also explain how to set up a home altar if we want to set up an altar at home, or how we can just set up a practice place at home if we don't have the space for an altar, or if we don't have the tools. Okay, so first of all, I want to welcome everybody again, all the students coming back to the class. I hope you enjoy the class and can learn something. And today's class concludes the program of the basic knowledge. So we have a little bit time at the end to answer all your questions. So during this class or the classes before, if you have any question, you could just ask today. But let's start talking about the altar first. And I prepared a few photos. And now you could see one altar. So can everybody see my altar, this photo? Yeah, thumbs up? No? Can you
not yet? Oh.
Yes? Okay. So
now yes.
Now yes, all right. So you see this, the first picture. I also named them now by number, so we have a very good order. This is one very famous altar, it's in Longshan, and this altar is basically, you see here, we have a centerpiece, it's the big statue, and the size of a human person, you can see, and here's the priest in front of the altar standing. You see the dimension of this altar is huge, and just for the first look, how a big altar in the temple looks. We need to make a difference between a temple altar or a temple hall and an altar at home, or a little altar in smaller temples. Yeah, this is a huge temple hall, and in a moment I'm also going to explain what types of temple halls there are and how we differ them. But let me explain first. Here we have for those who already watched the prior episodes about the items and the tools, we have flags here, and on the side we have basically the Gong, the table for the offerings, right in front of the priests, and you cannot see it from this angle. There's a stage, basically. This is a huge separate from the Gong or Gongtan, where you put the offerings, the actual altar where you place, or where the statue, or sometimes you have just a centerpiece. There's different centerpieces. I will also explain in a moment. And then you have a centerpiece, and then you have different. On the next photo, the altar. Of course, I want to show also a few different ones. The first, just the and we are here stage of the front and where the priest is doing the work, or or the monks or the priests who is item we mentioned before, called and it's basically a steel with the name, the holy name of the the deity for the ceremony, and then that's here with the deity. Or you can see the next one, you can see the smalls. But now it's actually can everybody see? Yeah, all right. Everything is very clear. Okay, so we have basically the same setup, just like before, but in a smaller size. Here you see it's a smaller temple hall. Maybe this height here would be 2 meters or a little bit like here. So the offering altar you see here, I will call this Nancy Badaude, but this is how it is on festivals. This is a little bit from everything. Yeah, the people just put everything on there, especially also oil. And why we offer oil is because there is an oil light, a Wudang, and we use the oil normally for keeping this oil light shining. And there is oil lights. There is, for example, in Wudang, the legend says this oil light didn't extinguish for a few hundred years. So there's a way you can fill up this bowl with oil while the candle is still burning. Okay, so that's why people also offer oil. Here we have candles. So people just like, not people, but believer, 新人, yeah, 山新人, we call, bring the offerings. Yeah, here you can see also a bunch of incense, yeah, food. And I mentioned it before. We have, for example, the Yanggongde and Yinggongde, the offerings you place for one day is, for example, the rice bowl or the vegetable soup or whatever you place for one day, like food you need to consume in one day. And the other Gongde you can place for more than one day. For example, fruits or other things. What is very special on this photo and why I choose this photo to show you, here you see there's a lot of statues here. And I'm very sure these statues not belong to the temple, but belong to the practitioner or to the pilgrims who are taking their statues to the temple and place them there for a certain amount of time. Sometimes it's just one day during the ceremony, during the festivals. A lot of statues from Taiwan also going to a pilgrimage with the group together to Wudangshan every year, because the Daoism from Wudangshan, the deity from Wudangshan, Xiongwu Dadi, is very famous and in Southeast Asia. So, but here you have a Sambao altar, and the people just place their statues to just suck in all the, to inhale all this shenqi, yeah, the good energy from the holy place. Okay, let me go to the next photo. I need to press a special button here. Okay, I'm just opening very quick. The other photo is not showing it. A little bit slow, but maybe it's working now. Unfortunately, it's very slow. I don't know why it's not showing the next photo. Please hold on. Okay, the sharing is okay. Well, it takes a long time. It's loading, and I'm sure it's because the connection, the screen sharing stopped. Can I show the photo? Okay, let me try it again very quick. I hope you can still see me. The technique today, maybe the signal is not that good, but I try to open it again. Okay, now it should work. Okay. See, it's very slow, so it's still black. Maybe if you can see it, just make a thumb up. I'm sure it just takes a moment. Okay, I can see the photo now. I'm not sure if you can see it. Okay, Linda can see it. Okay, then maybe I zoom a little bit in. So here you see from the side a little bit better angle. Here's the setup for the musicians and priests. And here you have a huge table. This is basically the working table, like I mentioned before, where you have the incense burner. And if you watch the prior classes, there is an incense burner just for small incense. This would be here, you see. And there is a bigger incense burner. This should be placed here. It's maybe a little bit unclear. This should be the big burner here where the incense sticks are placed. And here again, you have the working table, you have the offering table, and then you have like the little alcoven, maybe is a good word for this because it's maybe like three sides are closed and only the front side is open facing the pilgrims or the practitioners. And the directions is also important. The altars, most altars, and there's of course rules for certain days and for certain feng shui constellations and certain deities, but the normal setup is the north side have the altar and the deity is looking or facing southwards. Okay, so sometimes you have different setups. For example, at certain days you make a ceremony or offerings for the deity, for the god of wealth, and it could be in the east side or east south, and these directions are depend on the day. Of course, there's ways how to calculate this, and just in general, temple halls, these kind of fixed shrines or fixed altars, yeah, they are in the north-south X. So again, here's also the flowers. You see all the altar offerings we already talked about in the offering class. Here's a different altar, and maybe one of you could say, if you know it, what altar this is. If you know it already. Yeah, on the first look, and for the most, maybe it looks just the same with three deities here, but this altar is from the Mao Shan, and this is the three Mao brothers, and this also has a different setup. Here you have basically also the working table. I will make this a little bigger. You have the working table here with all the tools, the sword and everything, the candles. You have the centerpiece here, and these deities, they are brothers, and the center person or the center deity here was the one who realized Tao first, and it's old legend, old story about the Mao Shan. If you're interested in these kind of legends, maybe you also look into this. There's many pages also showing the translations. But just for showing you, there's also different lineages or different schools of Taoism, but they have basically the same setup. You have a working table, you have an offering table, and you have the alcove or the place where the deity or the centerpiece is placed. And this is when we talk about temple hall. Here's a small photo. I have to excuse and apologize for the quality, but this is a very good photo for the setup. Here you can also see it's the Sambao, Dao Tan, the three treasures, Dao Tan. Here's the Yuan Shi Tianzun, Linbao Tianzun, and Dao De Tianzun. And here you have also the highway, the steels or the plaques, if you want to say it this way. The offering table here, you see it very nicely. All the fruits are very nicely placed on these tables, on these plates. You have the here's another table for only the incense offering, the flowers and the candles, and then you have another working table here. As you can see, this is also a different setup. Here you have tables placed like in a U shape, yeah, and the priest is working here, doing the ceremony here, and working at the table here. You have a pilgrim or a practitioner here offering a register, to the deities, and the musicians and monks on the side doing the music and reciting the scriptures. And here you see it's all very nicely set up. And here also we mentioned the instruments. Here you can see the standing drum on the side, and the sizes is huge. And the next photo should also show the table a little bit better. Here you see this is outside table. This is not a fixed altar. It's an outside or mobile setup. I just name it. Here you have everything placed on one table, and this is be done by for festivals, or if you opening a institution or a temple hall or anything. There is a mobile temple set up, and you have the fruit offerings here, flowers, and the incense burner, the big burner. And here you can nicely see the small burner with the sandalwood pieces or the small incense pieces. Here the Daoist priest already picked one up for the incense offering. Here you can see also the setup like before with the U-shaped table setup. And yeah, this is a part probably, I didn't really look into the background information where this is, but this could be anywhere. So here is a very colorful photo. I would guess it's also Southeast Asia and maybe Hong Kong. I just want to show you there's also different altars, different styles of altars. This we call a multi-deity altar, because you have one center altar. It's probably the main deity for the school. Not probably, it is the main deity for the school. And then you have other deities on the side. Here you have a very clean setup here with a, probably it's public and always open, so this is easier to clean, and people can just come and offer their offerings here. Here's also enough space for writing talisman, for example, or placing items there, doing also the fortune telling. And I'm just looking if you can see the tools, but again, here is these names or the steels with the names for each deity. I guess it goes all the way around. You have each deity has an incense burner, and yeah, again, here's the centerpiece with a little bit more colorful setup, and you have the candles again here, all the fruit offerings, the deity, and here you can see even small deity placed on the side. This again is done by pilgrims, by practitioners who want to have their own little deity statue at home. For many people, it is important to have something like this at home for showing their respect and honoring, and also to show their belief, that they believe in this. For some people, this is less important. So here we come to another big setup, a big festival. I'm just showing this for you to see. Also, there's different ways, of course, different deities. You have one altar, for example. You have one center altar. Let's say we have the main altar for the three treasures, and you want to do a ceremony for the Domo, or for the mother of the North Star. Then you would place these kind of highway or these kind of name steels, with the deity's name, the holy name on there. And this basically is also a way of introducing or inviting the deity to come to the ceremony, joining the ceremony. There's many details on this, but for the first introduction, this is a very good information that you can use the name. I probably mentioned this in an earlier class also, or in a Dao talk. You have this paper, the yellow paper, and you can just write the name of the deity, the holy name of the deity on there, place it on the altar or on any place you want to make an altar, and you can do your practice with the altar. Here is another different setup. Again, there's many ways of setting up an altar, and for certain ceremonies, here again, this is a smaller temple hall. It's probably also more private. You can see here also is a more or less apartment, but this is not our problem now. Here you can see a big center table. This is also a setup for a certain ceremony. Here is several priests. Here's another one, 3, 1 in the middle, a little bit higher, and 2 in the lower stage, and then you have the 3 clarities here. These ceremonies or these temple setups you see only for certain special occasions, special setups. But what I want to show you on this picture here, and I mentioned it in an earlier class, this little tray here is placed in front, and here you can see the burner for the incense powder and the little bowls for the incense powder and the incense sticks or the sandalwood sticks. The priests here reciting, and at one point these priests also throwing rice and water and all these kind of things. This is a special ceremony, but we don't want to go too deep into this. But what I want to tell you is the setup here is the same. You see the flowers, you have all the offerings, the basic 5 offerings, you have candle, you have fruits, you have the incense. Yeah. And this is also incense, by the way, it's just placed this way. And this tray, I think I put it in the next photo. Okay, let me explain this photo first, and then we come to the tray again. Here is again one mobile altar or one outside setup. And in the last class about the artifacts, I showed you in the last picture a stand with these kind of artifacts, with the sword and with the Daoism, with the all these artifacts. They are placed nicely in this kind of stand. And you see here, have the musicians standing just on the side or sitting here. The instrument players here, you have one monk playing the woodfish, and they're doing the ceremony outside. And you see there is no deity, no big statue. We don't need this. You don't need to have a big statue or beautiful golden statues. It can help to build a connection to see the shining eminence or something like this. But in fact, everything is just in the heart. And if it can be the most beautiful altar, but if the deity or the altar is not in your heart, then this setup is also just for show. And that's why you can, if you have a very good Dao practice, a very good Dao skills, yeah, we call it Daofa Ling or the Xingfa Ling. If you have the Dao skills, you can set up a table anywhere, and of course, according to the rules, yeah, there's a certain rules or standard for Daoist altar, and I mentioned it already in the last class. We want to learn about Daoist altars in this class, so I have to tell you there is a certain standard, and better not setting up an altar instead of setting up the wrong things or putting everything on there. I will come to this in a moment. I found a nice picture of this very good example how Daoist altar should not look, but there is standards, and it's not that the more on there, the better it is. It needs to be the right tools. As I mentioned, there's certain tools you only use when you know how to use them as a priest. And there's certain tools you use, for example, the incense, the water, the flowers, the offerings, you also use as a layman or as a sujadisa, or we call as a world disciple or worldly student. There's monks. There's monks who go the career of a priest, and there's also the worldly disciples. We don't differ on the terms of practice amount or what they learn, but the worldly people sometimes put the priority on other things at first, and then maybe later when they have more time, they're gonna have more time to practice. Okay, the next photo is one of my favorite ones. Here is the Wudang festival for the International Daoist Festival, and when this happened, I was standing basically in the left corner here. So this is also a mobile setup, but in a very huge setup. This is actually a gate. Yeah, this is a wall where you can go into the actual temple interior, and here, and this is why I choose this picture to show you, this deity placed on here is come from 9 or 10 kilometers up the mountain from the Gong. They take the deity, the statue, and this one is a very old statue, it's Shunwudadi. I was there with the whole group, and I have videos and all these nice things to see how they place this in a like a carriage and carry it down the mountain with the whole group. It's like a carnival, Daoist carnival. It's the nicest thing ever. But again, this deity is also placed here for this ceremony, and of course to also show all the pilgrims. In this, you just see in this photo a few monks, but on the other side, like what you cannot see now, there's thousands, maybe 10,000 of people just looking at the ceremony. Many TV stations, but just for you to understand, the setup is the same. You have the offering table, and here you have the musicians, the Daoist priests. Just is differ from the size. The rules are the same. Okay? The standard is the same. I don't want to make or say it's a rule, but there's a standard, right? And the standard is very simple. There's a very good sentence. It's called Dao Sheng Yi, Yi Sheng Er, Er Sheng San, San Shen Wang Wu. And you have and to translate this is Dao give birth to one, one give birth to two, two give birth to three, and three give birth to 10,000 things. And this symbolic you also find on the altar. I mentioned it before. Everything we put on the altar or we do is very symbolic to only understand the principles of Dao, and it's very simple. You have Dao Sheng Yi. Maybe I show the next photo for this. No, not this one. Well, okay, let's try this. With this one, okay? Just for you to understand. I hope you can see now. We have 10 minutes left, so I need to make quick. It's again not enough time. Dao Sheng Yi means, for example, the Dao gives birth to the one, and the one is the Wuji, and the Wuji is like this kind of center. Now you have three things, but imagine there's a center. If it's not the deity or the statue, it can be a plate with the fu or with a writing on there from the shifu or from the shir. And we need to understand this is like a gate, and the gate is like a source. We open the gate, we can communicate with the deity, we can ask for help, we can do our offerings, pay our respect, and this portal, or the Shenmen, the mystical gate, is also like this one. From there you have a 2 and 3 setup. Like for example, you have the centerpiece, 1, and then you have 2 candles. You have 3 cup of water, something like this. This would be a standard setup. But if you, for example, have, I'm going to just the last picture to show you, because this is very important. I'm doing this class to make you understand and learn something. Here, I just type in Taoist altar in the Google, and I found this photo. I don't know whose altar is this. I hope I don't offend anybody, but this is everything on there, but nothing is really Daoist setup. There's some Daoist flags here, but also not the way how you would place it. And all kind of things put here, Buddha, candles, all kind of, I guess there's many stones this person found in the river, and just put everything on there. And this is definitely an esoteric altar, and if you have love for all these kind of things and you have a connection with this, welcome, but this is not a Daoist altar. A Daoist home altar, and this one here is not very good quality. Here you have a small altar. This is how I would place my altar at my home, because I'm a very passionate practitioner, and this would be my home altar. For many temples, this is the temple altar. Here you have, this is probably the practitioner writing a fu here, talisman, and you have a very simple setup. Yeah, you have the centerpiece, one, you have the deity, you have the offerings here, the candles, and the fruit offerings here. Here you have the practice space. This is a very big setup for a home altar. This could be a home altar. I just want to show you how you can set up a home altar as well. You have just a photo of your deity or of the deity, and here you see the names. You have a center incense burner, the instruments, and here you probably have the space for the scripture, and here's basically the scripture place here, candles, and this is a very simple setup. Again, here the names, you have this straight line going down to the practitioner. This is also very important if you want to have an altar or set up an altar. This energy channel, you can just think of a way of, it's also related to feng shui. For those who are interested in feng shui, it's also related to this. Yeah, there should be the right setup without obstacles in the way, and many weird things are just obstacles in the way. Okay, I would love to see your reaction right now. I didn't see it, but this one is a totally perfect Daoist altar, and just different culture. And this is also Southeast Asia, South Asia, and this is what we will call a 100 deity altar with many layers, many levels. You have the three Sambao, the three treasures, the Sanqing, the three clarities here. You have all the important immortals, Taoists, and gods here on the side. You have several setups, offerings, and then here all these little tables are all little shrines, little altars, basically. Shrine is the wrong word. I don't know how this came into my mind. The little altar here, and you see there all the same standard setup. You have the fruit offerings, the candle, the water, the incense. It's a standard setup for the altar. And here for the big, you see also these smaller statues. Again, I guess they are placed there also by some pilgrims. Now we have only 3 minutes left. I would love to make one more class next week for all questions, and this is just a spontaneous idea. If you want to join the class next week for questions, you can just rewatch all the prior classes, write down your question, and we're gonna make a 40 minutes question and answer class for next week. But for make this class complete about the altar, one last sentence about this tablet here. Here you can see the whole group of priests and Taoists are now moving. It's a ceremony where you move, and the front man just takes this tray, and this is also certainly an altar, and you use this altar also to move around the temple area, and also because the incense is burning is also for the keeping the communication. And this is the way, for example, you do yearly festivals in the Wudang we do, and there's a lot of walking involved and 2 hours singing without a break. And this is just very common to just have a little altar. All the instruments follow. Yeah, and here's another very huge altar setup. again, you have, this is again a mobile altar. It's also Wudang Shan. And here, all the Taiji practitioners. This was probably for the 600-year festival, a very, very huge festival and ceremony. Okay, so let me go quickly go back. I don't know how to stop this. Okay, if you can see me, can you see me? I hope so. Yeah. Again, I would like to thank you for joining this class, and we have only 1 more minute left. Today we don't do the extra class like we did last time. Unfortunately, only 4 people just tried it again to join the class again. Last time we had another 40 minutes class after, but today I would we need to skip this because I have something on my schedule later. But I would like to introduce also one thing we published now or announced publicly is the online program, the Daoist Education Online from the Lao Tzu College, because now this lockdown thing is worldwide. So we offer a 4-semester program. And if you're interested in this, maybe you could just look up the website, Lao Tzu College, in the menu of the Wudang temple website. And I would like to thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. My name is Liu from Germany, Wudang Temple in Germany. Again, next week's class is going to be about questions and answers. So keep your questions sharp, and I try my best to answer them all. I wish you a good day. All the best. Stay healthy. Today, my dear Dao friends.
你好，师傅。
today, 感谢。